everyone, and welcome to DefTalk, the talk show that focuses on everything World of Warcraft, whether it's classic, retail, or the players that play it. We're going to cover it all. Today we have with us the lovely Melderon. Say hello, Melderon.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Good.
And this is our first time that we have a return visitor. This is not only one of our closest friends within the World of Warcraft sphere, but a personal friend to Melderon and I. We have with us for the second time, Kargoz. How you doing, brother?
It's great to be here, man. Cheers, guys. Always a pleasure.
Cheers, brother. Cheers. Yeah, you are the first person to ever be a return guest, to ever be asked to come back to DefTalk. That's how much we love you here.
It's a bucket list item.
Awesome.
Exactly. Also, guys, sorry about the irregularity. Sorry about the little hiatus we had at DefTalk uploads. If you're a podcast listener, you're probably like, where the hell's DefTalk? So we'll be coming up with a lot more regularity now, so it's our apologies.
Yeah, with the holidays and everything, we just needed to get back into the groove of things. We had some really awesome videos come out recently that you guys loved, which was great. But today we have something really special in store. It's actually one of the reasons why we asked Kargoz to come out today is because we're going to be talking about something that is kind of in tune with what's been going on with Blizzard lately. And, we do have Classic coming out this year in less than 6 months, hopefully. So we want to talk about, can and will the release of Classic save Blizzard? So with that, the question's out there. What do you think, Kargoz? Do you think Classic WoW will be Blizzard's saving grace? Or do you think...
That's the thing, man.
I think we need to also kind of talk about what is the problem. There are maybe viewers that don't even know what's the issue here.
Right.
So, let's talk about that first, I think.
Let's talk about it.
So you guys have probably been seeing it, right? There's been a lot of videos, a lot of YouTubers covering it. I don't think it's just Blizzard. It's kind of this overarching issue that's plaguing the games industry. It's almost like gamers are saying, enough is enough. They're calling out these big companies, like EA's been getting in hot water. What's another one? There's the one that made the Fallout.
Fallout 76.
Bethesda.
Bethesda, right. Bethesda's been getting in hot water. Blizzard, you know what I mean? I don't really know, it's hard to pinpoint exact issues, but the state of the games industry is kind of poor right now. I don't know if that's fair to say, or maybe it's just not as great as it has been.
I would definitely say that it has to do with the players not being happy with the kind of games that have been coming out, because there's been a lot more push towards like free to play, where it's where you're asked to buy stuff afterwards. There's shops, and it's been a lot more. You don't just buy and get a game. It's been it seems like everything's more about the money now than it is about the games. I think a lot of people have been reacting to that, especially with what we had at BlizzCon.
I feel you. And one thing that's kind of a personal gripe that I have, and it's kind of selfish maybe, but it's I really, when I invest in an IP, I really invest, man. It's hard enough already, the older I'm getting, to suspend reality and watching. I watch 99% of TV shows that I'm watching. I just can't do it. I can't suspend reality enough and really fall in love with it. But the IPs that I have invested in, the ones that I do care about, like Warcraft and even Halo and stuff, when you see companies, in your mind, do bad things to that franchise or that IP, or maybe kind of sell out with it or whatever, it really hurts, dude. It really hurts. You almost feel betrayed. And that's something that, not to say Warcraft has come to that level for me, but because I still have bought all the expansions, but with Halo, definitely. And with each iteration of retail, almost a little bit of the soul of the reason why I fell in love with the original vanilla WoW has kind of deteriorated in
Absolutely.
But to play devil's advocate, how does one sell out? What is it that causes people to be mad? What is the basis of this?
All right, so a couple things that come to mind there. One is not being scared to make hard decisions when it comes to your franchise, your IP. Killing off a character, making a hard decision when it comes to lore, doing something that may be controversial, that may not appeal to everybody, sticking to your guns, not diluting the story, or retconning stuff potentially I could see as a potential way of selling out, trying to make everybody happy. I don't know. These are just miscellaneous little nuggets I'm throwing out there. But stuff all I can say is this sheer personal experiences. So with stuff like the original WoW, stuff like the original Halo, they were dark, they were macabre, they were brutal, they were unapologetic, they had a vision, they executed on the vision, you know, and it seems a little bit more watered down now with a lot of these games. It seems to go that route with a lot of these games. They start to, as they get more stakeholders and investors, and the company is doing better and better, it gets acquired by a parent company, and the game becomes a shell of what it once was.
And like you said, one thing we're going to be talking a lot today, guys, is about Activision. And like you said, with the parent company, and especially you can see when Activision came into Blizzard, there was a lot of changes within the game that made the game more suited toward the casual player. When Warcraft itself was, it could still be played by the casual player, but it was definitely a lot more suited towards people who were playing a lot more time, putting more time into it. And one thing that's really interesting when you look at the culmination of what's going on right now, and I don't think it's just because what's going on with Blizzard. I don't think it's just because what's going on with the other places. It's the fact that all this is happening at the same time right now with Blizzard, with Bethesda, with EA. It's all kind of been like the bubble's been kind of boiling, and it's kind of popping right now. And people are looking at, for us it's Blizzard, for some people it might be EA, for some people it might be Bethesda, but it's been the culmination of all these things. And for us, it really is interesting to see. You look at Blizzard's timeline, and you see how games were introduced over the years, and you see right at that time when Activision came into Blizzard. You see when a really big change happened within the game. Obviously, Wrath of the Lich King was already in development when they were acquired by Activision, but the changes that happened in the middle of Wrath of the Lich King, I'm sure, had something to do with Activision. And I feel like Activision's presence has been getting bigger and bigger within Blizzard throughout the years, throughout each expansion. And of course, now with BlizzCon, we saw the release of Diablo Immortal. We have things like a whole bunch of people leaving, and we have just an all-out, I think, disconnect, which is the thing that we need to really focus on here, is the disconnect between the player base and the development. And the development is not the same development that it used to be. It used to be the player base that was developing, and I don't feel that anymore. I feel like these are corporate people that just care about numbers and don't really care about anything else.
There's a disconnect. And just to piggyback off what you said, like Melderon asked a great question. He said, what are the actual examples of an IP turning sour or selling out, I think is what the term you used. That's another instance of it, right? You take a game that has historically been a PC game, a dark, macabre, scary, hardcore game experience, and you bring it to mobile, and then you don't do certain other things that could have mitigated some of the damage there, like maybe came up with a really good story or something, or did some other stuff to show that they care about it. And it really just gave off that vibe to a lot of people that care about Diablo that they don't care about. They're just trying to make as much money as they can from this IP instead of making the best games possible.
Especially when everyone was expecting to hear something about Diablo 4. It has been a while now, and there wasn't another Diablo 3 expansion, so people have been waiting for something about Diablo 4. I'm sure it is in development, and I have heard some things about it. And the thing isn't really a big deal that they're making this game. The big deal is that they did it at BlizzCon, and I think that is really where you see how they're out of touch. Because I understand, and I personally don't like the whole mobile thing, especially when it's coming from Blizzard. They already are talking about they're making a Warcraft-based mobile game that has to do with pets, kind of like a Pokemon Go type thing.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, Hearthstone's great on mobile, but that is a game that's not really, it's not just for mobile, though. You can play on your PC, you can do it on other things. And I feel like, okay, I do understand that that's a big market. Blizzard wants to reach into it, but to do that at BlizzCon when they know people were, there was so much hype about, is it going to be Diablo 4? Are they going to do like Diablo remastered, other things like that? And then to have all that hype culminate to this just massive, just wow, really? Like a mobile, you're going to announce that at BlizzCon? Is what really the problem was. I don't think it was, and they're talking about Diablo 4 being a return to the dark style gaming and all that kind of thing. But the disconnect for me is that they allowed that to happen at BlizzCon when I think it would have been obvious that people were not wanting to hear that at BlizzCon. They wanted to hear something else.
Yeah, it does really seem like they're lost in the sauce. The fact that they would even just have the tenacity to do that. And the other thing is, like, very much so, I mean, I'm no Blizzard historian, but I always kind of felt like Blizzard was cool and they got it. They understood the gaming culture, the gamers' cultures. And you look at some of the old pictures of the old teams that worked on these games, they seemed like hardcore, gamers, D&D, really immersed in the fantasy, knowing so much. And I've been in the recent years, and I haven't paid attention to this ever since, for a while. It's only been coming to my attention in the recent years, but Blizzard's been seeming more impersonal, more politically correct, more just kind of appealing to a more they're going to appeal to a more casual audience in general. Some other things too, like honestly, just kind of scummy behavior too from the CMs. There's been some scummy behavior from the CMs. Yeah. There's been scummy behavior in the sense that I don't think that they were ready to announce Diablo 4, and they kind of just tagged it on as an afterthought after the disaster, the mobile disaster meme fiasco that happened at BlizzCon. I think they just kind of like hit up Kotaku and was like, "Yo, Kotaku, just say that we have Diablo 4 coming out too." And to me, it seemed, I don't know, maybe they did, but it seemed like the timing was too coincidental.
All they had to do was have a 10-second trailer of like fire and a black background, and then Diablo 4 logo.
That's it.
And they didn't, though. They didn't, though, and they only announced it after it became a shit show.
But it's just ridiculous because like they could have done the whole mobile thing and then said, "But wait a second, guys, we have this," and then like pop up and it's and they say "coming soon" TM. You know what I mean? Like that's all they needed to do, and people would have been happy. Like that's what Bethesda did when they launched their mobile game. They had They had the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer that's like 5 seconds long.
Was literally just like 10 seconds of it.
So
this all is coinciding with Mike Morhaime leaving. And if you guys have been following, he is no longer. He was going to stay on as an advisor. He decided no, he wants to be completely gone from the company now. So he is gone. There's a reason for that. It's not just because he wants to retire. The new CFO, this chief financial officer, is from Activision, and we had the over 100 employees leaving, taking the option to leave. We have a lot of employees saying bad things about it, and when we talked to John Statz, Melderon, when we had our DefTalk with him, I really got to feel that when he was there, like Blizzard was this underground, guys who loved PC games, that were like metalheads, that were just like
living in their mom's basement,
nerds, and now, like, I have the feel that Blizzard, nothing against hipsters, but I feel like it's run by like hipsters.
I feel you, bro. It feels like the soul of what made them great has been gone, dude, and might have been gone for some time. We talked to John Statz, like you said, you see the interviews with them. They seem cool as fuck, dude. He seems like super in touch. They got it. They were, just neck deep in the lore and immersion, and now it feels like a corporate shell or something like that. I don't know. It's such a bummer.
So now, with all that said, right? All that said.
Wait, hold on. There's one more thing I want to add. We didn't talk about microtransactions.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
so, but I think that I had a conversation with Dan today. He's the guy who got us involved in Warcraft. He's introduced us to Warcraft, and he said, and we were talking about this and that, and he's like, it's not microtransactions that's the problem, because look at games like Dota 2, Counter-Strike Go. These games have microtransactions, but people love them. And there's no backlash. So what are they doing right versus what Warcraft's doing wrong? And the thing is that the gameplay doesn't suffer. So if you have good gameplay, like CS:GO, when you log in, you know what you're going to get. It's going to be good gameplay. It's going to be solid gameplay. If you want to buy a skin for your op or whatever, you can go do that.
Let me ask you something real quick though. In CS:GO, can you get items that make your pletter better? Get items
it's
all
cosmetic.
There you go. And that's why.
And Dota 2 is the same. You can't get things to make your character better in WoW.
Well, no, you can't. But in the other games, like we're talking about, like with the EA games and Bethesda, that's a big reason why.
So I'm talking about WoW specifically.
Right.
If we're comparing WoW to Dota 2.
Right.
Dota's the same way. Dota's a great game. I like Dota 2 a lot. I haven't played it in over a year. But you log in, you can get your skins.
Right.
But it doesn't change the gameplay. But no one's complaining about Dota 2 doing it. A lot of people complaining about WoW.
The massive billion-dollar industry of the trading of the microtransactions in this too. Like, I mean, there is some nuances there in the fact that they are esports and WoW is kind of more RPG. But I feel you. I think if the gameplay is in a good spot and people are enjoying it and they feel like the effort, the soul, the heart is there, And that might be easier to achieve with esports because they're so timeless. It's some formula that you can just can do over and over again.
So this is an interesting point. So if the gameplay is okay, then the majority of people seem to be okay with microtransactions. And this can kind of go into what we're about to talk about. I hope microtransactions do not come into Classic WoW, but will people care as much if the game is okay, if the gameplay is intact?
Yes, I think so.
We can talk about that briefly before we
right. But the reason I think so is because when dealing with Classic WoW, you're dealing with a game that to introduce microtransactions would change the entire feeling of the game. It would change, if you see somebody running around with, I don't know, Spectral Tiger, in Classic,
That's true,
Classic, there were only a certain amount of mounts in Classic, and there were mounts that were really hard to get in ZG, that were and once you got them, you were a badass, and you had that, and that was your options. So run around with a Spectral Tiger or a whole bunch of little friggin' pets and shit, and in Classic, I don't want that in my Classic WoW. Sorry, I don't.
Do you know why it's okay for Counter-Strike Go and Dota 2? Do you know why it's okay for Dota? Because there's no continuity. So, you log into Dota or CSGO, your character isn't progressing through the world. You're just,
so true.
You're playing around and then you're dead. Or
it's like a game of chess. It's a little thing that repeats. It's a timeless formula, as opposed to your character living and breathing and progressing.
That's why microtransactions are poison.
And with a game that's so sensitive, because a lot of people still want this to be Classic WoW to be preserved for historical purposes. One of the most monumental gaming achievements. It should be preserved in some capacity, and I think to a lot of people who are really into the emulation and stuff, those are the people that are fighting the hardest for no changes. And to see, Classic WoW deteriorate into something like that, where people are riding around on store-bought mounts, would just trigger the shit out of
I would
introduce
get so
that.
mad.
It will just open the floodgates to
it's immersion breaking too.
It is, and if they do that, I really feel like everything else is at
But wait, do you consider stuff like server transfers and stuff? Is that a microtransaction?
Server transfers are microtransactions, but they were available at the end of Classic.
Yep.
So I would consider that is the only thing that's the only thing that was available, in Classic.
Plus, you got to consider how common really is it for people to transfer servers. It's very uncommon.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's very uncommon.
And so with all this said, right, with all the things about Blizzard, the things what we just talked about here.
Sorry, guys, we were just trying to summate it real quick.
Yeah,
Blizzard's in a lot of hot water right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hot water. There's a lot of shit going on. Blizzard is not the same Blizzard as they were. So what will happen when Classic WoW comes out? Will it be affected by the Blizzard? Will it be infected, you could say, by the Blizzard that is today? Or will they be able to save it? Will they be able to use it to make themselves better in the light of PC gamers, in the light of who we are? And will they be able to stick by their guns and say, no, Activision, we're not putting a shop icon in. We're not doing this. We're not doing that because we're still Blizzard. This was Classic. This is how it was. And we're going to label like that. And I think that is the best option for them because, that's what I want personally. But if they allow all these changes within Classic to try to get the money and get all this, I think that'll be the last nail in the coffin for Blizzard. I honestly think so. If they ruin Classic because of microtransactions, because of their money grubbing, CFO, whatever, I'm sorry, I'm sure you're a nice lady. But, if they do that, I honestly think it's a last nail in the coffin for Blizzard. They will ruin their. I mean, it's already tarnished. You know what I mean?
It's kind of true. It's funny that you bring that up because I'm just trying to put myself in a situation where that happened, right? So at the end of the day, I feel like I'm talking med shit now, but if anyone from Blizzard is watching, at the end of the day, I'm a loyal person, and you guys have provided me with so many hours of entertainment and some of the best games I've ever played. I'm still deep down just unquantifiably appreciative of Blizzard's impact in my life. Love their games, right? So I have a hard time rationalizing, that love for those games and then what the current iteration of the company is right now. Yeah. But, I'm still, I think if they did fuck up Classic though, like what you said, let's say they just did something unthinkable like that. They just started putting in skins or weird shit like that.
Transmog.
It might actually put such a bad taste in my mouth that I might actually walk away from it, walk away from the company as a whole. And I don't think I've ever done that before with really any gaming company.
Yeah, they really have a unique position here because I really believe that if they can make Classic successful in the eyes of the community, they could possibly start to change their position in how people are looking at them right now. You know,
but do you think you can sustain a multi-billion-dollar company with a retro game?
Absolutely not. But it would help their image.
Okay.
I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I do think. Okay, so this is another thing I wanted to bring up. So, yes, that we've been noticing a lot of these. Like the games industry is kind of in hot water right now, and there's a lot of things happening. It's a disruptive chapter in the games industry. I hope that the times are changing potentially. And one thing I've noticed is that there has been a resurgence of old school games, old school consoles. Different companies have been attempting to put out retro consoles from the past, or putting out old MMOs or old games that were once popular, porting stuff to iPad. A lot of these games that we grew up with, there's been a kind of a resurgence of that type of stuff. I don't know if that's going to have some significant impact. Maybe I'm biased or something, but what I hope happens is what I can say. What I hope is that, this is a renaissance period in gaming where they hear all this feedback and they go, man, maybe we should step back a little bit and go back to our roots a little bit. And stuff like Classic WoW is a catalyst, and then Blizzard kind of gets woken up and goes, you know what, I don't know what'll happen, man. Maybe they just go, I actually love games, man. Let's make great games again. I don't know, dude.
I love money though too. It's like, I
think that's a possibility. I just, for me, it's like, I think in order for Classic WoW to save, quote unquote, Blizzard, it has to be riddled with microtransactions. Because saving, you're talking about as a monetary, fiscal term here. We're not talking about. But it
won't, though. It'll ruin them.
I see what you mean, Melderon. I see what you mean.
No. But you're not getting what I'm saying, Matt. Defcamp. So I just don't think it's possible for a game like Classic WoW to turn Blizzard around. I think
there's no scenario where Classic WoW will completely save Blizzard. No scenario.
Okay, but what if they shrink as a company? What if their share price drops, and what if they, they're financially not as healthy, but they become, for somehow miraculous chain of events, they become beloved by the gaming community again. I don't know, then they'd potentially be in a better spot if they're culturally loved again.
I mean, look, I'm no game designer, right? I'm no game developer. I don't know what it's like to have the pressure of the CEOs, where you want to create a game a certain way, but everyone else is telling you, no, you have to do it like this. You have to do it like this because that's what gets money. That's what gets money. That's what gets money. So I don't know what it's like to want to stick to your heart and try to make the games that you've been known to make over these years and have that voice of Activision whispering in your ear saying, no, it has to be like this. We saw how much money Overwatch made. We got to make sure we do that again this year and this year. I don't know what that kind of pressure is like. And it is kind of unfair for me to sit here and judge them without totally understanding that. But, I am someone who has been involved with Blizzard for decades now. And they started their company from, borrowing money from their grandmoms to make this company. And over the years, they have made some amazing games, some of the best PC games that were ever made.
Best games ever made.
Best games ever made. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, in 2007, they joined with Activision. And every year since, Activision has become more and more and more entangled with them. And Blizzard was allowed to 2, 3 years, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to develop a game, because that's what they did. They had the right people at the head of that company saying, we need this time to develop this game. And guess what? After 4 or 5 years, when Project Titan didn't work out or whatever, they dropped it and worked on worked on Overwatch, and that's what happened. You know what I mean? If something didn't work out, they were confident enough to say, it's okay. This isn't good enough for the player base. We're not going to release it. Yeah. I don't think that they would even dream of doing anything like that today.
Yeah,
because they have Activision breathing down the neck. So for me, the only thing that could save Blizzard the way we know it and the way we knew it would be for them to leave Activision. I don't even know if that's possible. I know that it did just recently happen with BioShock because they were apparently not as intertwined as Blizzard was. But if Blizzard could do that, because honestly, in any scenario, if Classic does great, if it gets, say, 5 million subs, right? Classic gets 5 million subs, or I don't even know if they would have it set up as Classic or just WoW, because they're one sub, right?
Yeah, so you're saying that a 5 million increase in subs is what
it's not going to save their company,
but just imagine
it will
this,
go a little bit a ways to
I'm not going to speak on the financial health of it, but imagine this happens, right? Imagine out of nowhere you see a trailer that says, World of Diablo or something, right? And imagine it's so sick. The cinematic hits you as hard as that original one with the dwarf and the bear in the snow, and he's standing there, and they got the music going, and it is so dark and compelling, and there's a couple lines of super hard-hitting, powerful dialogue there. The cinematic blows you off your friggin' feet. You've never seen anything like this. It's just insane. And then, that would be the starting point, and then they deliver this amazing game that, they're not afraid of killing off characters and making hard, tough decisions and unapologetically. I don't know. I maybe.
So you're saying that Classic WoW could spawn newer and better ideas, because
I'm wondering if they did that. Is there a path to get them beloved again with a lot of people? And then the other thing I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I do. I think it's possible. But the one thing you're saying about the hard decisions, Kargoz, it's you look at Cataclysm. That must have been one of the hardest decisions they made, was to change the world and what they did. And was it perceived positive by some people? Was it, I still think that Blizzard does make some of those decisions where, because, like, with the legendary system, was that something that was a hard decision for them? I think they still kind of make those decisions in a way, but I do think they do it based on a different way. Like, they do it not only because they feel like it's the right thing to do or whatever, but I think they do it keeping in mind that, is this the best decision for the casual player base that we want to keep going? So I do think that their reasoning for those for making those, like you said, those big changes and stuff like that has changed, but I do think they still do it in a way, where they make those decisions where, like, killing off characters, like, what are they going to do, with Sylvanas and all of the stuff that's going on now, which is kind of hard for me to keep up on, because I don't really I'm not that interested in the lore as much as I used to be. But it's interesting because I do feel like the writing of the game is still good in a lot of ways, and there are some things that I don't like about it, but the lore has always interested me. And I will say, once Metzen left, that it did feel a little different, but I think they still have a lot of the key. That's the thing. They still have a lot of the key people that are good, but it's getting slimmer and slimmer. There aren't that many good people there anymore. I mean, actually, I should rephrase that. There aren't that many of the good people from before that are still there, like Mike, like Metzen. Those people. I don't know who's there now. The new people, they might be great. I'm sorry, I don't know you. I just
think they're reducing the depth of the game. Is what it comes down to, and I think that the better way of saying this is that Classic probably can't save Blizzard, but Classic could start up a chain of events that could save Blizzard.
Yes.
I think that's kind of what we're trying to say, is that Classic itself, the game itself alone, will not save the company. But the game success, and if they feed into that success the right way and learn from that success the right way, could lead to a chain of events that could eventually rebrand or revitalize or rebirth the company. And I think that's kind of what I think could happen.
It's interesting, though, is that some of the things that they've done already have kind of been missteps, unfortunately, if I'm being honest, towards about Classic and the handling of Classic, because I do think they almost had a real opportunity of being really sincere and genuine towards making this project happen, like feeling like they're really trying to communicate with us as the gamers and saying, like, look, we're trying to bring back the original experience. And, like, for one, the demo being handled in a more polished way would have helped for sure.
Absolutely.
Because it screamed to me, And trust me, bro, I'm an optimist when I play this stuff. I try and look for the best things when I'm playing the demo. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But and it's the type of stuff where like the realizations hit me a little bit later. Like it kind of just screamed to me of kind of laziness, man. Like they rushed it. It was kind of lazy. It felt like I was playing retail more than when I was playing the private server, man. Like
animations and graphics and so let me ask you guys something. What would Blizzard have to do to make Classic a success in your eyes?
Define success.
Well, the
it's already going to be a success.
What I mean is the success that it will become the catalyst to save Blizzard.
Not much. Success. Not much. All they have to do is make sure it has the core gameplay elements. No LFG, harder content, gated content, make professions a thing, make farming a thing, make the character, make no transmog, no all the things that Classic already has. I think it'll be. And don't get me wrong, I hate the idea of loot trading and sharding and all these things. I hate it. But I don't think it's going to kill the game. I really don't. I think it's going to have a big enough player base where those things aren't going to matter as much as we think they are, because we're hardcore vanilla gamers and content creators, and I just don't think loot trading is going to kill the game. I really don't. I don't think it can. I think the only thing that can kill Classic WoW is LFG, transmog, things that are so against the core of the game.
LFR,
that
I mean. Perhaps
the WoW token, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Defcamp's got a video coming out soon, but
So the issue that I have about those things, like the graphics, the animations that were different within the demo, the loot trading, the sharding. They say it's only going to be sharding in the beginning. They say that the loot trading and this and that and the other is going to be this or whatever, but once that door, and we talk about this, and we always get some stuff, but the slippery slope argument, where you implement a change like loot trading, which at its core is something that is very different from the experience that you have in Classic WoW, and not having the loot trading, that small little thing had such an effect on the socialization of the game. Having to talk to people to explain that, okay, when we go into this dungeon, everyone rolls for the chest, and don't loot the box before it happens. Like, and I know there have been instances where people have gotten screwed over and it's been shitty because this happened and that happened. But those conversations that you had to start, and you might have just talked to somebody to spark up this conversation, things like that, the small little conversations, the socializations, might not happen because of the existence of loot trade in Classic. And I know it's a small argument to make, and I know I'm stretching here, but there have been times where I have been just running a dungeon and talked to somebody and said, okay, I really need this item. Can no one loot on it? And this and that and the other, and say, I really need this item. And everyone passing and then giving it to me, and then I have to spark this conversation with someone, and I just feel like it's taking it's almost like they're saying that we can't have the choice. They're taking the choice away from us.
You can still have that
because
conversation,
they don't.
Though.
You can, but it takes away. Well, I mean, all you have to do is say, I need that item, or who needs this item, roll for it, blah, blah, blah. I understand that it's still there, but the taking away the choice and the option for me, and I feel like when they do it with something with loot trading, they're going to do it with more.
I don't think that's the biggest elephant in the room. I think the biggest elephant in the room.
No, I don't think it's the biggest elephant in the room. I'm just saying that's just one thing that I'm just using an example of, that I'm saying that they're taking the choice away when it comes to certain things like sharding, and I think sharding has a huge change on the server. Each server should be, I'm not saying rewarded, it should be rewarded in a way. If you're on a low pop server, you should be rewarded in that instance and not have to deal with it.
However, it only exists for 2 weeks of the game's entire lifespan.
What, the sharding?
Yeah. It's only going to last for potentially 2 to 3 weeks of the game's entire lifespan.
Do you believe that?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they're going to. No. The only thing they're doing is just trying to counteract server load. That's all they're trying to do.
I think Def raises a good point though. Like, do you trust overall Activision Blizzard?
No, no.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's so sad, dude. Like, I think so I'm just really thinking as deep and honestly as I can right now. I'm trying to have a clear head right now, like what they can do to make at least me have faith in them and feel like they're on the right track. I think one thing is they kind of need to change their tone and communicate more, like and change their tone, man. I've been feeling like seeing, if you look at some of the recent tweets and CM's posts, it's been unprofessional.
Absolutely.
It's been pretentious. They're striking people left and right. Like,
that is just,
they change their tone,
juvenile.
make them feel like they're one of us, like we're the same breed, man. We're the same people, and take it from all the past games they've been coming out with. I love Hearthstone to death, don't get me wrong, but even stuff like Overwatch, Hearthstone, it feels like it's so kiddie, Disney princess, players of all skill levels, everybody's all having a happy time. Make a dark, hardcore IP. So even if that's not going to be your main thing as Activision Blizzard and you're going to appeal to all the stakeholders, give us an outlet as the people that
I agree.
Love that hardcore experience, the community, like having to work for stuff, and change the tone. And these are things that I think about.
And that's why so many people were waiting for Diablo 4, because it was supposed to be that dark game. Like Diablo 3 was a letdown to a lot of people because it wasn't as dark as the previous games.
It'd be an upside and an otherwise downward slope that's been going on, and you have that to look forward to, you know. And I think that they didn't renounce that is probably one of the stupidest things they've ever done. I mean, like. It's just,
it is,
to think that the American player base wants a ripped off Chinese piece of shit on a mobile game, is just
with reused animations. It's such a spit in the face.
It's so bad. Like
the other thing is, I mean, you look at all the Blizzard games right now, including retail, BFA. It's actually so convenient that Classic WoW. I kind of see why they're doing Classic WoW now. It's the game is too beloved to fail. It's like they can be pieces of shit scumbags, and the game is just still too beloved, and it's the best game of all time. The people are going to play it, and it's going to be successful, and it's almost weird in that sense. They're almost doing, I guess my point is, but the whole color palette of all the Activision Blizzard games, dude, is super Fruity Loops, Dora the Explorer, My Little Pony. I'm not even sure if the little kids are wanting that, dude. I remember being 12. I remember being 11. I still wanted. I was playing GTA 3 and Vice City and stuff.
I was watching The Shining and in my parents' room and watching movies that I shouldn't have.
Right.
As I could.
I think they're making data-driven decisions and stuff. I don't deny them that. They're smart people. They're advanced degrees, and they have board meetings. And
it doesn't mean you're smart, though. Trust me, I know a lot of people. I have an advanced degree, and I know a lot of people that are obtaining advanced degrees. I'm not saying that I'm stupid, but I have my moments. But it doesn't mean if you have an advanced degree, you're intelligent, or you're street smart, or you know the world.
Yeah.
It's you know.
To get back to the thing you were saying about the CM posts, which is really interesting, because I understand. I can. It's not like I'm giving them an excuse, and I don't think this is right at all. But I understand in a way that they're kind of like on offensive, and I'm sure they get hundreds of ridiculous forum posts every day that are just like, "You guys suck dick" and all this, stupid shit. But at the end of the day, dude, like, you're the professional.
Yeah, plus it's an easy job. Come on.
I've never seen him lash out like that, though, ever. Maybe I just was oblivious to it. But
honestly, it's a cushy job. Would you rather be roofing in July? Would you rather be, like, digging ditches? Like, come on.
But Phil, that would be like, Melderon, that would be like me going to work and having someone come up to me and, like, this, and me going off on him in the way that he did to me. Like that.
Yeah, but you're trying to help people that are... I don't think it's apples to oranges.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that would be like someone going to Rite Aid, or and which it does happen at Rite Aid. So let's not use Rite Aid or CVS. Let's to a grocery store and then being like, oh, I want this, and then that person going off, like, because you're the customer. Like, whatever happened to the customer always being right. Whatever happened to, you're the player base. You're the person that's paying their bill. I understand to a certain extent. You don't have to take shit.
No, you don't. Yeah.
But you're doing it in a place where you're not even dealing with the person in real life. It's over the computer.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, you don't have to take what they're saying to heart. They're saying it to Blizzard because they're angry at Blizzard. Understand that they're angry because what's going on. Some people are trolling. Some people are feeding into it. But at the end of the day, like, your response is only going to make things worse if it's a negative response. It's only going to make people lash out more. It's only going to make people more.
It's like Internet 101, dude. You don't feed the troll.
You don't feed
the
exactly.
I don't know how they're feeding the trolls. How the fuck did that slip through the cracks? The thing is, man, okay, so this is a trend that I noticed, not just in Blizzard, right? It's just with a lot of beloved shit. Like I said, Halo, with Star Wars, it's almost the corporatization of an IP, and how it goes from something that's really deep, dark, interpersonal, profound, and it's something you can really buy into and invest into. And then as it gets corporatized, whatever, someone come up with a word for it, a label for it, it just gets more and more diluted, and it gets worse and worse. And all I'm saying is that, like, this happens not only just with WoW, with other stuff too. And when Blizzard came up with the announcement of Classic, and it was almost smart how they did Chromie with the Dark Portal there, and she's like, we're going back in time. I almost wish they could reverse the corporatization and use that as an outlet and say, like, okay, we're not only... And for them to actually believe what they're saying, dude. They're telling us we're going back in time, we're going back to our roots. How come your actions kind of, and all your verbiage and your communication around that have been so disingenuous feeling?
Have you guys seen that Steve Jobs clip about so Asmongold actually put this on this thing. So it was like Pepsi. So Pepsi, what's a stellar new idea for Pepsi? A new bottle shape, a new like logo. There's really not much new Pepsi can do, right? Because they have a monopoly. I mean, like, even Coke and Pepsi, their market shares of the market are never going to change. You can keep going for 10, 20 years back. Pepsi has X%, Coke has X%.
Unless they do something drastic.
There's nothing you can do about it, right? Unless something, Pepsi...
Unless you hear that, like, they're
Pepsi
being
has first contact with aliens. Pepsi first contact with alien race. Okay, fine. They're going to have a larger part of the market. However, because of that situation, you don't have the product people making decisions. Now you have the marketing people making decisions, because there's nothing the product people can do anymore. Pepsi is Pepsi. You can't make it any better. The same thing happened to Warcraft. Warcraft monopolized the MMO industry. They had like 70% of the market share. When you consider every other MMO that's out there, Warcraft have 70% of the market share. You can't make your product any better at that point, really, realistically. So what happens? The marketing people get involved. Because they think they can make the product better. And it's that marketization, using things like Cash Shop and toys and pets and shit, that, and it's a feedback loop, and it feeds back off itself, and it's just negative bullshit behavior just comes from this cheapifying market. It's marketing people. It all comes down to marketers. Marketers are the sleaze of the world. That's what they are. They're worse than lawyers, and they just destroy everything, man. Everything.
Let me ask you something then. Yeah. Do you think it comes down to bad leadership?
Well, who's in charge of the marketing people? I don't know.
Well, I'm talking about now. Jay Allen Brack is like in charge of everything, right?
Yeah, well, he's he's the president or CEO? What is it?
Director of he's
like CEO now. Yeah, he's a CEO now. Okay. But I feel like he's
I feel like a lot of people, especially in the classic community, don't trust Jay Allen Brack. I'm sorry, Jay Allen Brack.
Yeah.
After you think you do, but you don't. A lot of people don't. And I heard some stories about where I heard some really good things about him. I have, but there's just something about that loss of trust that people had that has changed the way that people look at Jay Allen. And it could be, and I don't know the guy personally. I don't know who he is, what he does, every day. He could be trying his damnedest every day to stick it to Activision to revitalize the company and this and that and the other. But I feel like at a point, someone has to take charge and say, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to be your puppet, Activision. We're losing profits because of your involvement. It's come down to that at this point. It's come down to people hating the fact that Activision is part of Blizzard.
I just thought of something interesting.
Blizzard take the reins again.
Thought of something interesting.
Does that sound like makes sense to me?
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's talk cars.
Okay, so I feel like I'm whining, I'm just bitching and moaning and all this. At the end of the day, I'm still playing the games. I still bought every fucking expansion they made. So, but all I'm saying is this: when you create something like a beloved IP with characters that people have invested in, you actually now have a responsibility, dude. I actually do think it's kind of a serious responsibility to uphold certain standards and to, if push comes to shove, to kill off and halt the IP, dude. Halt it if it's going to start deteriorating. If it's going to go downhill and you think that, let's say you lose the passion for the project, right? So even when you're making YouTube videos, you're making content, right? I've gone through many phases where I just don't feel like the content's inspired. What do I do in that situation? And my actions will speak louder than words. And you've seen this throughout the history of my channel. For those of you who follow me, I just fucking walk away, dude. I just take a break for a little while, because I would rather just take a break and walk away than put out some stuff that I would feel as uninspired. I would feel disingenuous. It would
Trying to leave it on a good note.
So let's say that we created WoW, and let's say the original people who created WoW and had all these good times funding it with their grandma's money and making it, and they built this amazing thing that people love from around the world, and that whatever, they lose the passion for it. Maybe the responsibility is to fucking, like what Alex said before when we talked before, like to kind of euthanize it or something instead of letting it go downhill.
Or do the opposite and make it better. I think you have a responsibility either way, right?
And I think the reason I bring this up is I think a lot of this is like a lot of the people at Blizzard, man, are good people at heart. They're making data-driven decisions. I think a lot of it comes to just being disconnected with the gamers and not giving a fuck. I really think a lot of people just don't really give a fuck about the lore. They don't really give a fuck about the characters and how dark and morose and immersive it is. And a lot of these things are symptomatic of that apathy.
I mean, look no further than the current state of retail. It is at, people think, its lowest that it's ever been, because people have been asking for a certain thing, and I mean, it comes down to the gameplay's been taking a hit. There's been so much like negative shit going on with BFA that a lot of people are unhappy with, and Blizzard's way of fixing it is not. It just doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, we're going to tweak this thing and do this and then do that, and then the next patch comes out and it's worse than it was in the previous patch. I feel like, like you said, there's just such a disconnect, and I can't even comprehend how hard it is to try to, okay, this person, these people think this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, so we got to work on this, that, and that. But at the end of the day, I think you have, like you said, those set of morals or goals that you want to reach. You want to make the gameplay invigorating, fun, this, that, and the other. You've seen how it worked in the past. You see where things didn't work. You see what was a hit, what was a miss. You have the evidence in front of you. Why can't you make it work? I feel like there's just so much shit that's been going on, and so much unneeded fucking like just bullshit that's been put into the game.
Too much, man. I think that's the problem.
I think that's what it is. I think they're just trying to cut away, and it just keeps growing and growing. Is that what?
Let's say they even don't know what to do, then just communicate with the play. I don't know, man. Actually, I'm not going to speak on that, but I also think another point is like a lot of people say people are shilling for Blizzard, and that sure might be true in a lot of senses, but I think a lot of people give Blizzard the benefit of the doubt because they love their game so much. And they're just trying to find excuses for him and just been like, you know what, man, it's not that, it's hard to come up with this or that. And I've done it myself in the past.
I did it for years, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Just giving them the benefit of the doubt because they just made such amazing games to me that, just trying to think of any possible reason to think that they're.
I think it's okay to be supportive, but at the same time, you shouldn't accept unacceptable behavior, right? So it's like, let's say your significant other is starting to drink too much or something, right? It's okay to support that person and be like, hey, you should go to AA, or you should kind of maybe talk to someone, but it's not okay to be like, yeah, keep drinking, I love you. That's the difference, right? And I think that a lot of people just say, we love you, Blizzard, they'll keep doing the right thing. That's not love. That's just like, that's just being an addict, really, just taking the drug and just keep taking
maybe that's what chilling is.
Maybe, but I think you have to, if you love someone, you have to love them enough to let them go, that whole thing, and you also have to love them enough to tell them, you're fucking up, and I think that it's just as much as, people think you're turning on someone. I don't think that's the case at all. When I say, I'm not buying your games anymore, Blizzard, I'm saying it out of love. I want you to get better. I don't want you to keep going on the shitty road,
And I just did something because I wanted to see how hard is it really, like, I'm sure this isn't what everyone thinks is wrong with Blizzard, but like, how hard is it really to figure out what are the issues, what's going on, what do people want to talk about? All I did was type in what's going wrong with BFA, and I go to go to the forums, and you have people liking posts talking about all these different. You have right here, main feature, Heart of Azeroth scaling, Titan forging and weapons, war mode and PvP scaling, honor, alts, island expeditions, class design, forced loot system. These things right here are, you've been hearing over and over and over again for people like Asmongold, for people, and it's like these are the things that are wrong with the game. People have been saying it for a long time now. People don't like Titan forging. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who do, but it's the system and what it's doing, what it's causing, the issues at its core. You can't just put a Band-Aid on it and put a Band-Aid on it and put a Band-Aid on it and think that that's going to fix everything. It has to be redesigned or redone. And that's the thing, like every expansion, you have in essence a way to kind of revamp the game and redo it and redesign it, and they didn't do enough with BFA. They just slapped on a bunch of Band-Aids from Legion, saw what worked and what didn't work, and went with it, and it was like, it's not enough, dude. You've got to redo a lot of this shit. And I feel like they're trying to cut costs. They don't want to have as many developers in the game or whatever, so they try to add these Band-Aids, add these Band-Aids, add these Band-Aids. Well, now you just have a conglomeration of fucking Band-Aids and a shit pile of mess when you should have put a little bit more money and effort into it and really worked at the problems at hand. And that's the issue.
If Blizzard wants to save retail, they're going to have to... They can't do it during any expansion. They're going to have to do it in the next expansion. They'd have to literally just from the ground up, rebuild the gameplay. And they're not going to do that because it's too expensive.
And here's another thing, if they wanted to do that, I'm just trying to think and be constructive of what they could do, right? So one thing I think they've been doing for years, and like I said, it's data-driven decisions, is I think that they're centering a lot of their game design around appealing to the masses and to players of all skill levels. Now, there are pros and cons to doing that, right? But to a certain extent, was vanilla designed that way? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it was designed around kind of the more hardcore.
Exactly. That was the beauty of the Classic. It was simplistic.
In the context of its time, it was also the most casual MMO, though. Apparently compared to
it was, especially compared to EverQuest. Yeah. That's the thing, Kargoz. It was simplistic in its design, in its appearance to when it comes to the end game. But the thing was, you had within it the process of leveling, which was so, to me as a casual player when I first started playing, it was so invigorating, and it was so in depth. To just level my character, that leveling process, which took a while. Every level getting talent point and feeling like I got more powerful. Every 2 levels going to my trainer and having all these little things where I could do. I can train my pet, where I could train your poisons, train your professions. Having at every level, every little time here, you have something to feel happy about, something to feel excited about, feel rewarded for. That was the beauty of Classic. And then for the people who played hardcore, put a lot of time in, the more time and effort you put in, the more rewarded you were. It was the simple but elegant system, and it worked great in Classic. It was great in the Burning Crusade, and then things started to become a lot different, and they wanted to have heroic mode, have 10-man, have 25-man, this different versions of the same raid. So this person could do it, that person.
Yeah, but I don't think they need to get rid of all those things. They just need to get rid of a few things. Titan forging is one thing they have to get rid of. Absolutely, 100%. I think that flex raid system where you could bring like 10 people to 30 people, I think that's fucking cool, man. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't have 7 difficulties.
All right.
Have 1 or 2.
2, I think 2 is fine.
2, okay, fine. There's not, these things aren't huge. I don't. Mythic Plus, great addition to the game. Great addition to the game. Yeah. So
I love it.
There's things that are good about retail, but but it's just all certain things just aren't needed. They just aren't needed. I don't know. Make epics epic. Make legendaries legendary. Don't give everybody legendary. Don't give everybody epics. If they want an epic, let them raid. If they want to do LFR, give them blues.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what this new expansion would look like. I mean, I think they would have to make leveling. I think they would have to be big, bold, and unapologetic out the gate, and just be like, if you don't like it, too fucking bad, dude. Too bad. Yeah. You're gonna have to level. You're gonna suffer, dude. You're gonna be leveling for a couple weeks. Deal with it. You don't like it? Go play Fortnite. All right, next. Then they're gonna say the next thing is they're gonna go.
And people will respect them again.
And let's say they reverse Michael Bay. I almost feel like I'm in a Michael Bay movie when I'm playing in some of these these retail type things, explosions going off everywhere, and these humongous world events. I want the deep, dark, interpersonal stories with 2 people with hard hitting dialogue, and just that's what draws me in more than the explosions and the fucking battleships exploding in the air and I don't know. All I'm saying, my point is, I think if they wanted to earn the respect back from a lot of these WoW players, the next retail expansion, if any, would be making hard to show the players we're Blizzard, we're not scared of making hard choices.
Exactly.
We're hitting it hard again, and undoing a lot of that instant gratification, making leveling more relevant again, stuff that is tedious. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like sideways progression because what's going on, and this was a problem ever since the first expansion, I think, is how do you deal with a new player when they see they have to go from level 0 to level 120? And every expansion, the reason why it gets easier and easier to get from 30 or 1 to 110 is because they're thinking about that new player who's going to have to go from 0 to 120,
which is fine. That's
but
not
then
an issue.
it's fine. But then you have the issue of the person who went from 120 to 130. It took them 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I agree. That shouldn't be 1 day.
Right.
That should be a week.
So what I think
2 weeks.
instead of what they've been doing is they need to totally look at it in a different way and see that, okay, the issue of the leveling thing from 0 to 120, all that we have to start, because it's not working. It's not working. They tried to make the level process more difficult. A lot of people complained. A lot of people loved it. The scaling thing, a lot of people complained. A lot of people loved it. The issue is that they're always thinking about the new player, but they tend to really leave in the dirt the person who's been playing
the
it
return
for years.
customer. The return
Exactly.
customer.
Yeah.
And they always tend to shit on that person.
Yeah.
And that these people like us are getting sick of it.
Yeah. If you don't like leveling experience, don't play an MMO.
Exactly.
Don't play an MMO.
Another thing I'm thinking of, though, right? What would bring me back to actually like kind of take retail seriously? I'm thinking right now, and this is something I've been thinking about for a little while. If they, how we're kind of in the private server community, people get really hype about the idea of fresh, like a new server, a new character. Like it's really exciting. New community, new economy, new everything.
Yeah.
In whatever iteration of retail it is, if they just offered like a series of hardcore servers, let's say they launched it, it wouldn't necessarily be like Diablo hardcore where you just, once you die, it's over. But you had to level. There was no heirlooms. They just stripped some basic stuff out of the way. So you had to level. You had to level all the way there.
That was Brack's original idea, right?
Was it really?
Before Classic WoW came out, that was it was called Pristine Realms.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, something like that, where I mean, even that right there would force a lot more community than
it would. Absolutely. I think. See, the problem was that Brack wanted to do that instead of Classic WoW. That was the issue. But I think including that now is not a bad thing. Absolutely not. Yeah. Why not?
No, especially with retail. Yeah.
Yeah, with retail.
I might even try it now if they just release one while I'm waiting for Classic, and it literally was like fresh, and there was no heirlooms, and because people tried to do it, myself included, with Project 60, but it's the type of thing is like, if those quality of life things are there, you're just gonna use them, dude, and you're surrounded by people. You feel like you're playing make believe in your own head.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it wasn't doing it for me. But
they could even do a server where, say, every 6 months a new server starts, and say the first or every year or whatever, say the first 2 months is all vanilla content. You have to get from 0 to 60. You can progress through MC, you can progress through BWL, you can do AQ, you can do Anax, and then after that, after a certain amount of time has gone by, then you can start doing TBC content. Then you can start doing Wrath content, and then it goes on and on and on. And then once you're done and the time has gone on, then another server comes and you can do that again. I don't know, maybe an idea like that where you're playing, because a big complaint a lot of people has is like when a new expansion comes out, all the old content is now irrelevant. So make it a way where you're playing through it. You don't even have to do the raid. Maybe you just experience, all like they have, like where the first couple of months it's all vanilla stuff, and then you go to the Burning Crusade, and then you go there, but draw it out so that you feel like you're experiencing everything that was vanilla, everything that was the Burning Crusade, everything that was Wrath of the Lich King, everything that was Cataclysm in more of an intense way. It's something that they have to do, because every time they just add content, you're making this irrelevant, you're making that irrelevant, you're making all of this just, and the great thing about vanilla is that like the world is the world. That's all there is. There's nothing added, and even in the Burning Crusade, it was like, I always felt like, man, I'm an outland. I need to go back for like a weekend or for like a couple hours just to have some reminders of how awesome Stranglethorn Vale is, or I need to go back to the Hinterlands just to see how cool it was. Like I used to feel when the Burning Crusade was out, I would just want to go back to Azeroth for a while. And like nowadays, you spend all your time in the new zone, and that's the game. That's it. Like,
yeah, I agree.
just-
I think there's a lot of things they can do. I think there's like 10 things if they just got rid of it's mostly cutting. It's mostly cutting.
Yeah.
It's not adding.
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
It's cutting Titan forging. It's cutting. There's too many raid difficulties. There's too many things given to casual players. Get rid of that shit. They don't need epics if they're not doing raids.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
and it'll make you want to do like, okay,
correct.
well, I got to do this, and like the great thing about vanilla when I was playing vanilla is like the idea that Nax was out there and I never even stepped foot in there. I was like, oh my
Word,
God,
I
this
mean-
person has gear from Nax.
And that's okay. that
Yeah.
content is there and you can't attain it. It
Absolutely.
just gives you something to strive for. Another thing, big time, what they do, we're talking about stuff stripping. This wouldn't be so much stripping, I guess it would be reinventing it. But dude, my God, man, giving items fucking personality and flavor again and unique niche new uses
Yep.
and
Dude.
Yeah. Items with one-use effects that were cool, interesting, that you can only get in certain situations,
engineering items like my, oh my
Yeah,
God,
exactly,
dude. Yeah.
exactly. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep. But and like the one thing that was really cool with the items, and I don't understand why tier sets in BFA, like why tier sets were such a. I understand, because I always hated when in Legion, like, oh, I'm still using my tier from 2 tiers ago because it's so powerful. Well, then don't make them that powerful to where you would have to wear it 2 tiers later. You know what I mean? But to get rid of tier sets altogether and say, oh, well, we're going to make the Heart of Azeroth, like, I don't know. I mean, that was a system that they had in vanilla that was like adding something to the style of play. You could just do it in a different way to where it's not making this one class so overpowered because make it so that mana regenerates a little bit quicker or little things like that. I don't know. I think getting rid of it altogether, like that was something that maybe they shouldn't have gotten that they did, but that's just my opinion about it. So when we talk about classic WoW, there's obviously a lot of things that we love about it. Will it save Blizzard if it is a huge success that we all know it can be? Probably not, but can it have an effect on Blizzard that could change the way we look at it and hopefully set things in motion to where Blizzard can see what it is the player base loves about Blizzard, what it is we love about classic WoW?
I think
And
the
for them-
classic WoW community can fucking save Blizzard, dude. I think they start listening to the classic WoW community. They start being there. They start paying attention. It can be a stepping stone. It can be a platform
I like that.
towards getting the company, I don't know,
In a
in a
better
place
place.
that can be respected by the hardcore gamers, man. Because maybe it is respected by the casual gamers. I don't know. Maybe it is, but
I think if they listen to the classic WoW community at large, they will become a better company for MMORPGs. Absolutely. I don't know
I
about the
agree.
other genres, but MMORPGs, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Because
agree.
MMOs are supposed to be hard. They're supposed to be a time commitment.
Yep.
If you don't like those two
Absolutely.
things, do not play them. They are not for you. I'm sorry. Go play Fortnite. Go play CS:GO. Go play Dota.
Go play Dark Souls.
Dark
Go play
Souls.
Yeah.
You know,
game that you can
MMORPGs are an
pause and-
alternate
yeah.
reality. Therefore, you have to spend time in it. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. So,
Yep.
And I know that sounds harsh to people, but I'm sorry. If you want to be a Nax Raider, you got to put the time in. I'm not going to be a Nax Raider because I'm not going to put the time in. I'm okay with that. I might step in and do a boss or two, maybe, but I don't know if I'll ever have that time and commitment to do that for full time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we got to wrap up. But I just wanted to.
Yeah, that was a great,
put that in.
great conversation, guys. I'm really glad to have you on.
a passionate talk for sure.
You are by far my, you're my bro. I love you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And guys, I have all Kargoz' links below his video image there. But Kargoz, where can people find you?
Yeah, just type Kargoz into YouTube or Twitch. Just see it pop up. But I guess my closing statement is, at the end of the day, with all things said, man, I do really do, I do love and appreciate Blizzard. And I wouldn't be feeling so passionate about certain things if I didn't like their games,
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Absolutely.
We definitely owe Blizzard a lot. They have created the games that I love, and I don't want to see them go down this dark hole that they're going down.
yep.
I
I know.
agree.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, it's always fun, guys. It's always a pleasure
Yeah, it's
talking
good
with
having
you.
you here.
Yep.
And guys, if you
Oh.
are listening, go ahead, Defcamp.
I just want to say, if you guys want to get a little bit more about and watch the episode that he was on before, we'll leave a link to that as well in the description.
Yeah, the link will be in the description.
Yeah.
He was on episode, I don't know, 20 something. We'll put that in as well. The first time Kargoz was on. We're trying to be more topic based on DefTalk. We've noticed that people like that better. If we're just talking about random things, we're talking about topics. So if you're listening on SoundCloud or Google Play or Stitcher or iTunes, we also have a YouTube channel. If you're listening on YouTube, you can also take DefTalk with you. Kargoz and I and Defcamp and Dunedin also do another podcast called Good Morning Azeroth, which we're recording tomorrow at some point. That's also being uploaded to Google Play, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher under Defcamp Melderon TV, so check that out as well. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Discord. We have a Discord as well, so does Kargoz. Check out his Discord. And all three of us are on ClassicWoW.live, so check that out as well.
Check that out, guys. We've got a lot of exciting things coming out.
Coming up with that as well. And we also have Patreon. If you're interested in becoming a patron, the links will be in the description.
Yeah, man, support these guys. These guys are the real deal.
Kargoz
is a patron.
That's a patron. Yes.
That's right. Thank you, Kargoz.
Easiest patron of my life.
All right, he looks tired. All right, guys. Until next time, this is Defcamp.
This is Melderon, and
Kargoz.
Peace out.
Peace out, guys.
Keep
Take it
out
easy.
and grinding.
Yeah, peace.